So here we have an old Dell R620, and it comes with Server 2008 R2. You can see the COA sticker in the center of the screen. And the difficulty is I don't have Server 2008 R2 anymore, and I want to wipe this out and make it available with a nice fresh copy. So let's go through and explain how to get this running, because there are a number of hurdles to get through, including how to actually source the Server 2008 R2 media from Microsoft. So let's get to it. So the first thing you need to do is get yourself a USB stick and plug it into your machine, which I'm going to do right now. Dingo. Now, the next thing you need to do is find legal copies of the ISOs for your old operating system. Fortunately, we have all of the links right here. So just go to URTech and search for this. Download legal copies. We'll put a link in the in our text at the bottom here. And in my case, I've got Server 2008 R2, so I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to download. And there we go, it's downloading. Now I have a very fast connection, so this will come down quite quickly. This is going to pull down an ISO. So then you think, okay, well, I've got an ISO, but if I just burn an ISO, I'll just have an ISO on a USB stick. That doesn't do any good. I need to convert that to be bootable. Well, no problem. What you do is you get a little utility called, well, from Rufus. Let's take a look at that. So we'll just do a search for Rufus USB. Let's see what that comes up with. There it is, rufus.ie. There it is. Now we can just download it. It's down here somewhere. There we go, Rufus 311. Pull it down and run it. I'm just going to open the file and run it. Okay, so I've got a USB stick plugged in. I want to select it. All right, so select your ISO that you just downloaded. There it is. Now, if you have a system that is UEFI, what you need to do is set this to GPT. You need to set your partition scheme to GPT. If you want to use the old classic BIOS, you need to set it to MBR. So in my case, I'm going to set it to GPT, and I'll just go into the BIOS and set it to UEFI. And yeah, but it's your choice. And then you just click burn or start, and it will start burning it. And it's saying, hey, we're going to toast the stick. Yep, I don't care. I know it. Now this actually runs very quickly, assuming you're running this on a USB 3 port, which I've got to assume everybody's doing that. If it's not running this fast for you, then you're running on USB 2 and you're making a mistake. Not that it's a crisis to run it off USB 2, it just takes longer to do. Okay, so we're going to skip through this, and I'll bring you back when it's done. Now we just take our USB stick and pop it in the machine, fire it up, and start pressing whatever the system tells us to, which in my case is F2 to get into the BIOS. We're going to skip through this because this takes a minute, and we'll just get you wait for the BIOS to come up, so you don't have to sit here and wait. So we'll just go into the system BIOS, and we'll go into boot settings, and we'll set it to UEFI if it wasn't there already. If you set it to BIOS, you needed to use master boot record MBR for your Rufus build. Anyway, we've got it on UEFI, so we're good to go. Click back here and finish. And sure, didn't make any changes, but okay, so we're just booting up now. In my case, to get to the boot options menu, I can either go into the BIOS and set it, or I can just press F11. So I'm going to press F11 a bunch of times. You'll see it come up in the top right hand corner here in a minute. There it is. So F11, entering UEFI boot manager. And now I'm going to go to the UEFI boot menu, and I'm going to select disk connected to the USB stick, or the controller. And shocker, it's booting up from the USB stick. And you think, well, I know what it is from here, I'm pretty much done. Nope, 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 there's still more problems, specifically the RAID controller. We will show you how to fix that. And then there's a few other things that come up after it's loaded, so keep watching unless you've done this a bunch of times already. And you really know what you're doing. So we'll skip through this, so you don't have to sit and wait. Okay, so now we will say, yep, that's happy. We'll click next, install now. We'll get an end user license agreement, the ULA, which we will approve, and then we will click next. And it will bring up, here we go. So let's first select the version, I guess. So that's the, I want the Windows 2008 standard install. And I will click I accept the license agreement, license terms, and let's say I don't know what's on there, and I just want to wipe it out. So you select custom, and then you go, oh damn, no drivers. It doesn't know where the hard drives are because it can't see the RAID controller. Well, in my case, I've got a, I know, because I've looked it up, I have a PERC 710, so I have to go to the Dell page and pull that down. So let's do that. Okay, so to find that RAID controller, I'm just going to go to Dell, and I'm going to do a search for Dell PERC H710. There we go. Oh, there it is. I guess I've searched for this before. There it is. I'm just going to look at it, pull it down from here. So let's get the right one. It's not 32-bit. It's 64-bit, but it's not an update package. I need the zip pack. I need to be able to unzip it and pull that file out. So this is the one. So let's pull it down and save and extract. Well, I'll just open it and click continue. And yeah, I want to do this, but I'm just going to call this RAID 710. You can call it whatever you want, or just leave it at the default. My stick is drive D, so I'm going to just put it on D, RAID 710, and put it straight to the stick. Does not exist? Sure. Created. Yay. Now I take my stick and I go back to my machine. You can see it pop the info files, and we're good to go. So let's go back to the Dell and plug it in. Okay, so I'm going to pop the USB stick in with the driver. There it is, and I'm going to select load driver and select browse, and I don't think it's come up yet. Oh, there it is. It has found it. Yay, there we go. And select next. Now, I can tell you from experience, this takes a long time. A long time being like, 5 minutes, which is just crazy long, so we're not going to make you sit here and wait. Okay, so I've got a bunch of partitions on here and a bunch of different drives. I'm just going to go and delete them all now that it's got them found, because it's got the RAID controller. I'm just going to gun it completely. There we go. Now I want to put this on the small drive, which is disk 2 right here, 280 gig. That's a mirror. You don't have to care about that, but that's what it is. And I'm going to click next, and it's going to start. Now, okay, so I'm going to not make you sit here and wait for this. So we'll come back in about 20 minutes and we'll take a look at the next step that's not automated. Okay, so we're going to set a password. Done. Oh wow, that was fast. Great. Okay, so server managers come up. A couple of things to do just to get started. First thing is don't show this again because it's quite annoying. And secondly, go configure the enhanced security. I always turn it off for admins. Otherwise, you'll be in hell trying to download stuff. Now, that gets to a good point, which is you can't download anything because there's no network card in here. Now, at least not in my case. So what I need to do is go back to Dell and I need to get that driver. So let's do that. Okay, so I'm just going to do the same thing here. Dell. This is going to be an R620 network card driver, and hopefully it's the first hit. There we go. There's something. That's good. I'm going to go here and select two things, actually. Well, let's do what I said I would do first, which is going to be the network card. right there. Now, if you don't know which network card is yours, because Dell often, and just like HP and everybody else, and Lenovo, they have lots of different configurations, just download them all. Now, what you don't want to bother with is the user guides, like that. That's pointless. Now, I happen to know that mine is a Broadcom, so I'm going to guess that it's this one right here, 64-bit, extreme, blah, blah, blah. So let's go here and give that a shot. Download, and I'm going to put it right onto the USB stick. I'll plug the USB stick in, and I'm going to select open, and I'm going to run that Broadcom network driver. Right, now this gets to an excellent point. This comes up and says, you need to get KB25 blah blah blah. Now I've been through this before, and I can tell you that if you try to download that update, you can't find it. What you actually need is a different update, which replaced it. So after Googling this and goofing around with this for, maybe half an hour, I found this article from our friends at Dell, and you can read through it, but it basically boils down to, yeah, you actually need this one. Which is the update. So it's a monthly update back from, some time ago. So we can just download it now. And make sure you get the right one. I'm looking for this one, Server 2008 R2, blah, blah, blah. And I select download, and it's going to bring up two links. The first one, if you read it, just says PCI clear stale cache. You can download it, but it doesn't do very much. There, I've downloaded it, I put it right onto the stick, and same thing with this other one. Now I found that this is the actual patch, and it takes a while to download. Well, it takes a while to start downloading. I'm not sure why that is, but it does. I also had to download it 3 or 4 times before I could get it to actually complete. So I'm not sure what's wrong with the catalog server. I don't think you need to spend much time thinking about that, because by the time you do this, it'll be working just fine. But for me, it got stuck here a number of times. So anyway, once this is downloaded, I'm going to take that back to the machine. I'm going to install it. All right, so it finished. I'm going to pop my stick into the machine. There it is. Pops up. Continue without scanning. There we go. Open it. Now, I know there's the PCI clear stale cache, which does virtually nothing. But then there is the update, which is this one here. So let's just run this. And this is a quarterly patch, so it's not tiny, and it's going to take a minute. So again, I'm not going to make you wait for it. You'll just take my word for it that I've completed the install, and yep, there we go, and that reboot has been completed. So let's let this finish, and I will see you in a few minutes. Sign in. And now we should be able to run the installer. So let's give that a shot. I just plug the stick in, open without it, open without repairing because there's nothing wrong with my stick. Let's see here. So let's run the Broadcom driver and see if it runs. Come on, baby. Don't let me down now. Don't show this at log on. Yes. Okay, so at this point, I could select extract and then go find it, but I will simply do install. And let's just take a look at Device Manager as this is happening. Device Manager. And we'll see an entire category here called Network. Get added. Accept. Sure, basic is fine. So right here, there'll be a section added called Network, and some of these other devices will just go away. Network adapters. Hee-haw. And I've got 4 of them on here, so it found all 4. Isn't that nice? Now at this point, I can run a Windows update, which is what I'm going to do to get most of the other things solved. And I'm going to turn on automatic updates. I'm going to make sure that my settings say to install everything it does. So there we go. Click check for updates, and we'll just let that run. Ooh, I got to plug in a network cable. Right. So we plug in a network cable, and then down at the bottom, we should see it come up. There it is. It's coming up. Identifying. And let's try again. There we go. First thing I guess we're going to have to do is change the screen resolution because I can't see anything. So let's go here. Set that, okay. There it is, keep changes. Okay, so while that's downloading, I'm going to go get Chrome. Because Internet Explorer is discoed, so I need a better one. So Credge is actually really good, so I would go to that, but I don't think I can download it. I think there's something wrong with the download. Yeah, I can't even get to it until the patches have been installed, so I won't bother with it. I'll just go straight to Chrome for now, and I'll put Credge on afterwards and get rid of Chrome, because I much prefer Credge to Chrome. So anyway, let's let that run. And while we're waiting for this, I will tell you that what we need are the video driver. It's a Matrox that's in here, and Windows Update doesn't have the driver. And there's also a chipset driver that I want to update manually. And yeah, so let's run through that right now. Okay, so I'm going to go to Dell.ca. And you can go to Dell.com or whatever works for you. And I am going to put in an R620. Oops, need a caps lock on there. There we go. PowerEdge R620. There we go. And drivers and downloads. And I'm going to go here and select video. There we go. And there's Matrox. I'm going to download that. And let's run it. And you'll see the display adapter change from standard VGA to Matrox. No, I don't want to restart. There we go. When I restart, that will come up as Matrox, so that's good. The next thing I need to do is, in my case, I need to download the chipset. The chipset that is included here is, that comes through Windows Update, is a bit older, and I want this latest one, so I'm going to click accept all and clear that off. And let's get the chipset driver down. Open, run, install, accept and install. Ooh, there we go. Okay, so while that's running, there are a bunch of updates here, and I am going to install them all. Select them all. Actually, I'll get rid of the preview for next month because I don't really need that. And but everything else I'm going to take, all of the updates. There we go. So you can see them all. Click OK, install, and that'll just run in the background, so we don't have to wait for them. There we go. All right, let's do the install of the chipset, and we'll see a bunch of these items go away. And they won't go away if you just run a Windows Update. Some of them, a lot of these just end up staying. And mostly what they seem to be is relating to the system devices. So you'll see a whole lot of things that are in other go, and there we are, it's already going away. This other category. Oh, look, the Matrox is now showing up. Minimize that. And a bunch of these items will go away as this completes its install. And yes, it will take a minute to do. So look at that, all of the other devices have now gone away, and we are cleaned up as far as devices go. Now there's a few bits left to do, which we're going to do. Mostly that involves, we'll say restart later, mostly that involves flashing BIOSes and drivers, so, network cards, things like that, so we'll do that. So I'll continue with those scans, get rid of that. There we go. So you can see now that we've installed the chipset driver, that everything is happy, and we've got a whole lot more items under system devices, and we have no bangs on here, so that is awesome sauce. So at this point, we're just going to wait for this update to complete, and then we'll start flashing things, and then we're done. Back in a minute. This will take the better part of an hour, perhaps even longer to complete. So again, I won't make you wait for it. I'll just come back when it's done, when we're rebooting. Okay, so the patches are done. Now is the time when we start flashing things. Flashing being the firmware. So let's head off to our friend Mr. Dell, in my case, Lenovo or HP perhaps in your case, and get the firmware updates. And they are important, so let's just head off to get that done. I noticed when I was in here that there was a firmware update for the network cards, so I'm going to update that right now. I'm also going to update BIOS. Let's see what else there is to update. Let's go to firmware, and we'll update. We'll download all of these. Okay, apparently we're not going to download that one. Okay, so let's move on. So you can see here the NICs have quite the gap, quite the change. Version 21 to version 7. So, or version 7 to 21, depending on how you want to spin that. So we're not going to make you wait and watch this. Sometimes there's an order to doing this, and you'll need to talk to your vendor. In my case, I don't believe there is, so I'm good to go. But I know certainly with some Intel servers we've had in the past, you must flash some FRU, some field replaceable units, before you flash the BIOS and blah blah blah. So when I say must, it's just that there are odd combinations of things that can cause the hardware to fail if you don't. Typically it's not required, but it can happen, and Intel will tell you that. Okay, so this is telling us it needs to reboot, but I'm going to say no because I have other things to flash. So we'll finish. Let's go to this one. Okay, so no change there. That's good. Now let's go off to the BIOS. From version 1.2.6 to 2.9. So let's give it a go. Got to reboot. No surprise. You're likely to hear the fan spin up. Nothing to be concerned about. Totally normal. It's also quite likely you'll see the timers stop. Again, don't worry about that. Just let it sit. Do not freak out. Do not power it off. Just let it sit. Okay, so the firmware upgrade is done. Let's just take a look at Device Manager and make sure everything looks happy there. There's no bangs. A bang is a yellow triangle with an exclamation mark in it indicating that there's a problem. Everything looks happy. If there was a bang, these would be the item that has a bang on it would be expanded. Nothing's expanded, so we're happy. Now, one of the things I like to do is to flash the RAID controller, and IC was not included in the last batch. PERC 710 adapter firmware. Let's get that. Wrong one. Let's go with the mini adapter. So let's give that a shot. So hopefully what you've picked up here is that just because there's this category here labeled firmware, doesn't mean it includes all of the firmware. It most definitely does not. So you're going to need to go through and take a look at the devices you've got on your system and see if there's a flash for them. Now you might even be surprised that look at, there it is. There's even a firmware flash for the power supplies. So I'm not sure which one I've got. I don't know that I'm going to bother with this, but yeah, I might. Okay, so it'll come as no surprise that reboot is required. I'm going to do that. And alright, so now let's try to activate Windows. Get it off the demo license. Activate now. There we go, but that's just the demo, which doesn't do me any good. I need to get it off to my. So what I'm going to do is go to the control panel. I really hate this view, so I change it to that so I can see everything. I change it to small icons, I should be more clear. Go to System. Go to Change Product Key. There we go. Now I've got to enter the product key. I'm obviously not going to show you my product key, but I'm going to type it in from the certificate of authenticity that's stuck on the machine. If you have a newer machine, it may be in the BIOS, in which case you don't need to enter it. Just simply activate and it will pull the key automatically from the BIOS. No, you cannot see that number in the BIOS. You need a utility to pull that number out if you, in the off chance that you do want to see it for some reason. But in my case, it's a sticker, so I'm going to enter the information from the sticker. Be right back. And we're getting it activated. Yay! Now, if you notice at the bottom, it still says it's valid for 180 days. Windows is activated. Yeah, all that means is you have to close this window and reopen it. So let's do that. Activated. Okay, so we're completely done. This machine is up running a fully licensed version of Windows that is quite old, and it is has all of its devices installed. Everything's been flashed and updated, and we are happy. If you have any questions or concerns, please get a hold of us at www.urtech.ca, and we'll try to give you a hand. Thanks. Have a great day. All right, bye-bye.